Most days during my caregiving journey, I felt burnt out, unmotivated, and stuck in life. Then I realized I didn't have to be. I had the choice to change that. I wasn't a victim of my circumstances. I might not have the privilege that I would have preferred, but I do have the privilege of making a change right now. And that's something I want to talk about in today's video. In the recent podcast that I've released, I've gotten lots of questions in the comments. I've gotten lots of concerns from people in the comments, and I want to touch on a lot of those things. There are a lot of caregivers who are watching my content, past, present, and future, and I just want to speak on as much as I can and try to come from a place that is helpful. So let's get into the questions. First question is, I feel lost in caregiving. Do other people feel like this too? 100%. You guys would be surprised with the DMs that I get, because you would have no idea that some of these people are experiencing the same thing as you. And I say that because these people that reach out to me, they don't ever speak about their caregiving journey. They might be going through it right now, or they maybe went through it in the past and they just don't really speak on it, not because they don't want to, but maybe it's just not something that they choose to speak about. And I really think you guys would be surprised at how many people are actually going through what you're going through right now, and which is a huge reason why I continue to do these videos. And it's actually funny because before I started recording this, I got a call from an old friend who watched a clip of mine. We haven't spoken in years, and he watched a clip of me talking about having resentment for other family members for not stepping up, for not caring in the way that I did, for not reaching out in the way that I would have preferred them to reach out. And he's like, bro, when you said that, I have never been able to verbalize that. And because you said it, it affirmed so much of my feelings, and it made me feel less alone in my feelings and what I went through with the person that I was caring for. So I think it's extremely important for people like me and for other caregivers to continue to speak about their experiences, because you have no idea the sort of seeds that you're planting in other people and the sort of blessings that you're bestowing upon other people just by sharing your story. So no, you're not alone in what you're doing. No matter how isolated you feel, no matter how, I guess, niche you might think your struggles are, there is somebody going through it right now with you. And I pray that that gives you peace, because I know for me, all of the times that people reached out when my grandmother was still alive saying, hey, I went through this also, or hey, I'm going through this also. It was such a, even though they weren't stepping up to help me physically, they weren't coming to the house to help me and my grandmother and my parents and my family, even though they weren't here physically, just knowing that I'm not alone and that other people are going through or have gone through the things that I've gone through helps so much. So please don't ever underestimate how much an encouraging word can help somebody, or how much just sharing your story with other people can actually help. You might not see the fruit of your labor, but sometimes it's not for us to see, and we just have to continue fighting the good fight of encouraging people and letting people know that they're not alone, and we do that by sharing our story. Next question is, I feel like I have no time for myself. How did you manage to get your life back? And the thing that I want you guys to take away from this episode, because I'm going to speak a lot on this during the entire episode, is 1, taking inventory of your life, and 2, walking the walk instead of talking the talk. So I hear this a lot. This is not just within a caregiver's life. This is within everybody's life. Everybody feels like they don't have enough time to do the things that they want to do. Everybody says, hey, if I had, let me be careful, not everybody, but a lot of people say, if I only had more time in the day, I would be able to accomplish so much more. And I could not disagree with that more, because I feel like if you were given more time, if you're not properly stewarding your time right now, if you were given another 24 hours in one day, so let's say one day was a whole 48 hours, I don't believe that most people would be stewarding it in a way that they say they would be, because we just like to talk. and we don't like to walk the walk. So the thing that I would say to this person that's saying, I feel like I have no time for myself. Well, how are you currently managing your time day to day right now? Do you schedule out your days? And if you do schedule out your days, do you actually follow through with the things that you have scheduled out for yourself? I'm assuming this person is a caregiver, so they probably have to tend to a patient or a loved one all day. And maybe they're feeling like they have no time for themselves because they're just constantly pouring out for another person, which is extremely commendable. And I respect it because I lived that life for 8 years and I know what that feels like. But I think the dangerous trap you fall in is because you're constantly pouring into somebody else, you feel like you have no time, when really, if you just gave yourself if you took honest inventory of how you're spending your time, you might see that maybe when your loved one or your patient has gone down for a nap, you see that within that 30 minutes to an hour, maybe you were scrolling a little bit. Maybe you were watching a YouTube video, and I'm not trying to condemn you watching a YouTube video, but if you're saying, man, I really want to work on my physical health, maybe that 30-minute to an hour window was the time that you should have been working on your physical health instead of scrolling or watching a video. Maybe that time from 7 to 8 when you no longer have a responsibility, maybe that was the time that you should have been working on your physical health. Maybe the time before your loved one gets up is the time that you need to be spending on working on your physical health. Because again, this all has to come from a humble and honest place. If you actually look at how you're spending your time, I think most of us would realize that we actually have more time in our day than we realize. If I were to look at my own life and how I spent the last 24 hours, I'm sure I could pinpoint exactly where I could have spent more time doing the thing that I said that I wanted to do. And the reason we don't do the things that we say we want to do is because we're following motivation. We're waiting for motivation to strike. Like the moment that I feel like going out and being physical, or going for the walk, or going to do those push-ups, or going for that run, the moment that I receive motivation is the moment that I'm going to go do it. And if you wait for motivation to knock on your door, you will never answer it because it's never coming. I'm telling you today, and a lot of the stuff that I talk about relates to physical fitness because that is such a huge part of my life. So I draw a lot of parallels from running and working out and just living an active lifestyle. So a lot of the things that I think about are in relation to fitness. This morning, I had to wake up and do 12 miles. And I say had to because I signed up for a marathon, which means I have to train for the marathon or I'm going to show up on race day extremely unprepared. And I had zero desire to wake up this morning at 5 a.m. to go run 12 miles. But I did it anyways. And you know what? At the end of the run, I felt amazing because, one, I just went out for a 12-mile run, and two, because I did the thing that I said I wanted to do and I didn't follow through with motivation. I followed through whether motivation was there or not. And I understand that it sounds so much easier said than done, but I believe if you personally are saying, if you are now made aware of, yes, I want to work on my physical health, it is now your responsibility to go and figure out how you're going to fit that in your day. Instead of playing a victim to, I just have no time for myself because I'm a caregiver and I'm pouring myself into this other person's life. I don't have energy. I don't have blah, blah, blah. All the excuses. Because you have been made aware that you want to improve your physical health, it is now your responsibility and your duty to go and make that happen, regardless of I'm tired, regardless of I feel like I don't have enough time, which you probably do. And this is coming from, I'm trying to come from a gentle place. I don't want to be the sergeant who is telling you what to do, but because I care for you and because I love you, I want you to actually do the things that you say you want to do. And I want to help you figure out how to do those things. And I think the best way to start doing those things, it doesn't even have to be your physical health. Maybe it's I don't know. I can't think of an example of what people want to improve on, but whatever it is, if you think about your life and whatever it is that you want to improve on, if you are made aware of, I want to improve this thing, it is, you need to be diligent and you need to be intentional about actually figuring out, how am I going to make time to do that thing and to improve on that thing? And that is how you make the time for yourself. Because if you go around just like complaining that you have no time, you are never going to accomplish anything. And I'm gonna speak to caregivers specifically. If you continue to live your life in this way, on the other side of your caregiving journey, you're gonna the hole that you're gonna have to dig yourself out of is so much deeper than it really had to be. Like, if you could just start right now, the moment that because you're hearing me say these things to you, if you could just start right now with, I will no longer be a victim of my circumstances. I will no longer tell myself I don't have enough time. I'm going to take inventory of how I live my life and the things that I do every single day. I'm going to schedule out my day and be intentional about how I spend my time. If you do all of those things and you go and do the things that you say you're going to do while being a caregiver, which is an extremely noble responsibility to take on, you will end up on the other side so much better than if you didn't do those things. I promise you. I promise. And this is not me coming from I have figured it all out. But the one thing that I did figure out for myself was the moment that I started living my life intentionally while being a caregiver, and realizing that I can make time for my physical health. I can make time to consume content that's going to contribute to my growth. I have the privilege of choosing to do those things. Everything changed for me. I was no longer a victim of my circumstances. Was caregiving still hard? 100%. Were there days that were difficult? 100%. But I no longer became a victim of thinking that I don't have enough time. Everybody has enough time to do the things that they want to do. Next question. I don't like asking for help. How do I get better at it? When I was a caregiver for my grandmother, I felt like I could do everything on my own. And I think a lot of that came from the fact that I saw my grandmother completely dependent on other people, and I wanted the opposite of that. I wanted to be independent. I wanted to shoulder everything. I don't need anybody's help. I could do this on my own. Let me prove to you that I could do this on my own. And I feel like a lot of caregivers share that same sentiment. They don't want to ask for help because, one, they don't want to bother anybody, and two, they just feel like they can handle everything on their own, which I think is the thing that leads to caregivers and just people in general outside of caregiving. That's what leads to exhaustion. When you feel like you can shoulder everything on your own, when you feel like you don't need any help, when you feel like, I got it, I can do it, that's where the exhaustion and the burnout and the struggle and all of the things come from. It comes from you just feeling like you can do it all on your own. And we have such a pride. And I say we because I'm included in that. I had so much pride and ego wrapped up in not asking for help that I didn't want to humble myself enough to ask for help. And I think if I could have just been honest with myself, humbled myself, and realized, yes, I need help, and then going out and seeking for help, asking family members to come and help you, but being specific about, I think specificity is the thing also that is lost in the communication when you ask for help. Because I think when you ask for general help, like, hey, it'd be nice if you helped me out once in a while, or hey, it'd be cool if you came over this weekend to help me out with the whatever I needed. There's no specificity in that. People need specific instructions. I know I do, for sure. I need specific instructions. And if you as a caregiver actually need help, let's say, and I do realize that not everybody has the ability to ask for help. I'm 100%. I want to showcase that I agree. I identify that not everybody has help. But if you do have people that you can reach out to and you ask them for specific help, like if you have a cousin that lives down the street and you want to go out for dinner for a few hours, or maybe you want to go somewhere for a few hours. If you called them up and said, hey, I'm thinking about going to dinner from 5 to 6 or 5 to 7, I would really appreciate if you came over at 5 p.m. to help out so that I can get a little break. And I've just been feeling a little tired lately, and it'd be so nice if you could help me out. If you could just call somebody and ask for specific help, I feel like most people would be more than willing to do so because you ask for specific help. The thing that the gray area of asking for help is where people feel a little shifty about it. If you called that same cousin and was like, hey, can you come over sometime this weekend and help out with a few things? Because there's no specificity in that, they feel like they then have to figure out what's a good time and what do you actually need help with? And I don't really know if I want to commit to just coming over for the weekend and helping you out with a thing. You know, there's all these things. But if you were just specific about, hey, I need your help from 5 to 7, I want to go out to dinner, I've been feeling really tired lately, and I think that could be a great pick-me-up. If you could do that for me, it'd be great. And that's it. And not expecting them to do so because everybody's got their own thing, they got their own life. There's a funny thing about asking for specific help that works way better than just asking somebody for general help. And I think if more caregivers could just let go of the pride and let go of the ego of trying to shoulder everything, because maybe in your life you've had to shoulder everything. Maybe you've had to carry all the weight because nobody else wants to carry it with you. I really think you could see so much benefit from just releasing all of that and just asking for help. And I really wish that I had a better relationship with God, and I read his word, and I spent more time in prayer during my caregiving journey, because I think the ultimate help could have came from God during that time. And maybe part of that, maybe there was, I'm not denying and saying the fact that God didn't carry us through that time, but I think if I was humble enough to admit to God that I'm tired and that I'm overwhelmed and that I can't do this on my own and I need your strength, then I think I could have found so much support spiritually from God during that time. And I think it would have really helped me. But unfortunately, I didn't have this perspective until my grandmother passed. And now, moving forward with everything, with every single thing in my life, I go to him for strength. I go to him for guidance. I go to him for anything that I need, because I know that he'll come through. If I continue to knock on that door, he will continue to answer. And a specific example of this was, there's a neighbor that lives around the corner from here, and I drive by her house often, and I always see her garage open. She's a little bit of an older lady, and I've always wanted to stop and talk to her because she looks like a really nice lady. We wave to each other all the time. I hear wonderful things about her, and I've just always wanted to talk to her, but I've always been afraid. And yesterday I went out for a walk, and I felt the Holy Spirit nudge me to go up to her and to talk to her. And so I mustered up the courage, walked over to her house, saw that her garage was open, and I walked right past the garage because I was just afraid. And so the moment that I felt afraid and the moment that I felt worried and unsure about what am I going to say? What if she's mean? What, all these things, right? I started praying. I said, God, please use me as an instrument for you to speak through me to her, to serve her in a way that she needs. If she needs a listening ear, help me be that for her. If she needs a word of encouragement, please speak through me to get to her, to serve her in the best way possible. And after I prayed, I walked right up. Amazing conversation. I probably stood there for an hour, just chopping it up with this old lady. Wonderful person. She let me in her house. She showed me around her house. She showed me what's going on in her backyard. She told me her life story. And I don't know what that did for her, but I know what it did for me. And it made me feel like it just proved to me that no matter what worry I have in my heart, no matter what inefficiencies I have in my life, no matter what I lack, as long as I can admit that I lack that thing and seek for help, that will be provided. It might not be provided instantly, but I know that it will be provided because I've asked and I've humbled myself and I've admitted that I cannot do this on my own. And I will cherish that moment with my neighbor, and I hope that we can continue to have a relationship. And I walk by her house all the time, and it's just an example of how I apply that to my life. And I hope that people can apply that to their life. And I hope that you can be humble enough to ask for help, whether it be from your neighbor, from your family member, or just asking for help from God, asking him to help to carry you through this specific moment, because we can't do it on our own. As you've seen in your life, when you try to do everything on your own, you end up burnt out. You end up exhausted. It's because we're not built to handle everything on our own. Next question. I feel like caregiving is my whole identity. How do I separate myself from it? This is a question that I wrestled with for a very long time, especially after the death of my grandmother, because I felt like my identity was caregiving. I felt like my identity, my purpose in life was helping my grandmother live the most comfortable last years of her life. And I was so afraid of when she is no longer here, what is my identity then? And now that I'm on the other side, I have fully realized that my identity is not wrapped up in what I do, in the things that I enjoy doing, in anything else other than being a child of God. That is my only identity in this life. So if I enjoy running, that doesn't mean my identity is I am a runner. If I make music for a living, my identity is not wrapped up in I am a music producer. My identity is not in the things that I do. My identity has already been identified, which is I am a child of God. I was put on here to love and to serve others. I have already been chosen. I'm already enough. In John 1:12, it says, "But to all who did receive him, he gave the right to become children of God." And this isn't something that I realized until the end of my grandmother's life, but this is something that I hold on to now, because even if my YouTube channel is taken away tomorrow, even if everything that I've built career-wise is gone tomorrow, my identity is not wrapped up in that. My identity comes from God, and that's it. And it gives me such peace knowing that it could all be gone tomorrow, and that's okay, because that is not who, like, all of the things that I've done in my life, all of the mistakes that I've made in my life, all of the content that I have created in my life, none of that is who I am. And that gives me so much peace, because I don't have to hold on to these things with a firm grip, because these are not the things that make me who I am. And I so wish that I knew this, and I so wish that I believed this when I was a caregiver for my grandmother, because it would have made everything so much easier. It would have made everything so much easier. And it's okay that I didn't figure it out until now, because now it is my mission to continue to pass this on to other people, to continue to teach, to continue to share. And I hope that this gives somebody peace out there, that you right now at this very moment, the work that you do, the thing that you do is caregiving. You tend, you love, you serve another person. But that's not who you are. You're not a caregiver. That's just the thing that you do. because that's ultimately the thing that we were put on this earth to do, is to serve and love others. And you are the ultimate embodiment of that at this very moment in your life. You are caring for somebody, and everybody's caregiving journey looks different, but you are caring for somebody who can no longer care for themselves. And you are living the ultimate purpose of what it is that we were put here to do, which is to love and serve others. Your identity is not a caregiver. You are a child of God who came here to love and serve. And that's it. And a couple verses that really hit home for me are Ephesians 2:10, where it says, "We are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works." And 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, "If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation." And these two verses just hit so close to home for me, because again, we are not the things that we do. We're not the things that we do. We're not the hobbies that we enjoy. We're not the passions that we are passionate about. We're not any of those things. We are children of God, put here to love and serve others, and that's it. And I really hope that you can find peace in that, because you don't have to go and find a job to prove your worth. You don't have to go to the gym and prove your worth there. You don't have to do anything to prove your worth, because you are already worthy. Next question is, caregiving makes me feel like my life is on hold. What should I do? I feel you. I've been there. Early days caregiving, I felt like my whole 20s is now put on hold for the unforeseen future. I have no idea how long I'm about to do this. I just know that I have to do this right now for my grandma, and I got to put my whole life on hold. Now that you have been made aware that you are not a victim of your circumstances, you are not a victim of being a caregiver, you are not a victim of caring for the one that you love, and that you have time and resources to do other things. You have the ability to do other things. I don't know what that looks like in your life, but you are not bound to this one thing, and that there is an abundance of opportunity for you. You just have to look at it that way and not look at it from a pessimistic point of view that I can no longer do X, Y, and Z. I can no longer do the things that I once did. I can no longer whatever. Let go of that. Start thinking about what you can do. Or if you don't want to think about it from a career perspective or from a what can I do perspective, look at it from the perspective of, wow, I have chosen to become this person's lifeline. I have chosen to be the hands and feet that this person once had. What a privilege it is. What a blessing it is to be able to do that for this person. And I know it might be tough to see it from that perspective, because maybe the person that you're helping has Alzheimer's or dementia and they lash out and they have, but think about, you are the reason for their peace at this moment, because they have no idea what they're going through. They have no idea. I'm just thinking about myself, and if I had dementia or Alzheimer's and I'm lashing out on people, and if my wife is the person that's taking care of me, I'm calling her things that that I don't usually call her. I'm pretending like I don't know her, because that's just the way the dementia works and Alzheimer's works in people's lives, is they just forget about their loved ones and they're just stuck in confusion. But if my wife, and again, I pray to God that I don't end up with dementia or Alzheimer's and that my wife has to then take on that responsibility. But trying to make an example out of this, if I had my wife caring for me and providing as much peace in my life for as much confusion as I'm experiencing right now, if she could just be there as my rock, as the person who is helping me through this, if I could just pull myself out of the situation and see, wow, this person loves me so much to help me find peace, to just be there to make sure that I don't harm myself. what a blessing she is on my life. And that's what you're doing for somebody right now, whether they have dementia, Alzheimer's, or arthritis, whatever sickness or illness they're dealing with. You are the person that is providing for them at this moment. You are providing the ultimate service for this person, and what a blessing it is. And you're going to come out on the other side with so many gems, with so much wisdom, and with zero regret for doing that for that person, because I have zero regret about what I did for my grandmother for the last 8 years. And there's so much peace in that, and there's so much joy in knowing that we did everything we could. We did everything we could. And what's crazy is in the moment of me going through all of these really difficult emotions, and on the days that were really, really tough, there was a part of me that knew that I was going to miss it. I would often tell myself, like, one day, and sometimes it wouldn't, like, sometimes that wouldn't bring me joy. Like, sometimes it would be like, okay, bro, yeah, I'm going to miss this, but that doesn't make this any easier. But I knew that one day I'm going to miss it. And that one day is right now. I miss doing everything that we did for my grandmother. I miss the showers. I miss helping her get out of bed. I miss helping her onto the wheelchair. I miss having a meal with her. I miss helping her drink water. I miss all of the things that I once thought were difficult. I wish I could have one more day of doing all of those things. And you don't get a chance to do those things again. And I hope that plants a seed in you. And I hope that's something that you could think about on your caregiving journey. Like, this might be really difficult right now, but I'm going to miss this one day. And let me try and appreciate it just a little bit more. And maybe it doesn't flip the switch in you, but at least realizing that this is going to be gone and this is going to be over and that you're going to miss it one day, maybe that is something that you hold on to, and maybe it just gets you through to the next day. The last question is, I don't want to burn out. What's the one thing I need to do? And I'm going to echo an answer that I gave earlier, and it's, you have to live your days with intentionality. Whether you're a caregiver or not, you have to live your days with intentionality. Write out what the perfect day looks like for you. If you're a caregiver right now, write out what a perfect day looks like for you on top of all of the responsibilities that you have. Meaning, I'll just use my schedule with my grandmother as an example. So from 7 a.m. to about 9:30 a.m., I knew that I had to be with my grandmother, tending to her, helping her eat breakfast, helping her do all the things. I knew that from 7 to 9:30 a.m. I had to be there. So that means I have time from 5 a.m. to all the way up to 6:59 a.m. to do the things that I want to do. And why did I say 5 a.m.? Because I knew that I could probably get a responsible amount of sleep up until 5 a.m. to wake up and do whatever it is that I wanted to do. In the last years of my grandmother's life, I chose to use that time for that 5 to 6:59 a.m. to run, because I wanted to improve my running. I wanted to add it to my repertoire of exercises that I do constantly, and that's what I did with that time. Then from 7 to 9:30, I'm locked in. Whatever grandma needs, I'm there. From 9:30 to about 11:30, 12 p.m., my grandmother is in her room. She is watching TV, taking a nap, drinking, eating snacks. She's doing her own thing. And I would just have to pop in every once in a while to make sure she's okay. Of course, if she's calling my name, then I would pop in to see what she needs. But for the most part, she's chilling, doing her own thing. And that gives me time to then work on my business, to then work on more physical fitness, to then work on whatever it is that I want to accomplish in my life. And then from 12 to 2:33 p.m., I'm with my grandmother, locked in, doing all the things. And then from 3 to about 5:30, 6 p.m., that gives me another block of time to do whatever it is that I wanted to accomplish. And it took me a long time to be responsible with the time blocks that I was given. Like, there were a lot of days before I figured this out that I was kind of just not respecting that I have all this time to do whatever it is that I want to do, and I was using that time irresponsibly, I would say that, yes, I want to grow on YouTube. Yes, I want to build an online business that's extremely successful, but I wouldn't be executing on those things throughout the day. I'd kind of just be like lounging, which I'm not talking down on lounging, but if I'm saying that I want to improve on YouTube, if I'm saying that I want to build a successful business online in regards to music production, but then I then spend my time lounging and not doing the things that's going to get me to the place that I want to get to, then I am using my time irresponsibly. So when I figured out, like, you need to be responsible with your time, because not everybody gets this opportunity to have these huge time blocks to do whatever it is that they want. I could either be lounging and like scrolling on my phone, or I could be productive and actually do something with that time to get me to the place that I'm trying to get to. So that's just an example of living your day with intentionality, backing up the things that you say with action. Don't let it just be a theory in your mind. If you want to improve your relationship with your spouse, you can't just sit and think like, you can't just pray and think God is going to bestow a better relationship in your life if you're not actually doing the things. Think about a farmer. If he's just sitting on his front porch saying, I want crops to grow, but he's not in the field sowing seed, there's no crop that's going to grow. There's no food that's going to grow from the ground if you're not sowing the seed. You have to do the work for God to bless you in your life. You can't just sit and theorize all day. You have to actually go and do the thing. So how this relates to caregivers, I guess, is I'm going to bring it back to fitness. I know I've been mentioning it a lot this episode. If you're saying I'm very out of shape, I hate the way that I feel, I'm not really liking the way that I look, congratulations. The first step is admitting and being made aware of the fact that you don't like these things. Now you can make a change. So now you need to take the time, you need to find the time, make the time in your life to then go work on the thing that you say you want to work on. If you don't know where to go, if you don't know what to do, if you don't have any clue of where to start, the internet is here for you to figure it out. There are coaches online there are coaches online to help you figure it out. If you can't afford a coach, there is a plethora of resources. If you just go on, the power of the internet is incredible. If this is you, right? If this is you and you say, I'm out of shape, I want to get in shape, I want to look better. If you were to just go to ChatGPT, I know I'm saying it. I'm going there. If you go to ChatGPT and you tell it, I'm out of shape and I don't know what to do, please help me. It's going to give you some advice, and follow the advice that it gives you. Because I promise you, doing that, no matter how you feel about ChatGPT, no matter how you feel about whatever AI, the internet, general responses, whatever, doing that is better than you sitting on your couch and saying, I want to do X, Y, and Z, and then doing zero about it. It's better than that. If you want wisdom, you have to seek it. If you want help, you have to seek it. And I really, really hope that the people that needed to hear this, and they can actually make a change in their life. Because again, I love you and I care about you, and I want everybody in life to succeed, whatever that means to you. I want us to start doing the things that we say we're going to do and living an intentional life, because your life is going so fast. I'm 31 years old. My life has been moving like this. And I know that might seem young to people who are older than me, and I might seem old to people who are younger than me. But my point is, life is moving right now, whether we want it to or not. Whether you're a caregiver or a nurse, or you work a 9 to 5, or you work at a law firm or whatever, All of the things that you say you want to do in your life can be done if you make time to do those things. I'm rooting for everybody watching this video. Whether you agree with me or not, I'm still rooting for you. And you can actually change your life. See you in the next video.